Welcome to the ReUp Men's Podcast with Tim Brown. ReUp is here to help you be the man God created you to be. We have lots of resources at our website, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. You can find them at reuppodcast.com. Tim, in this episode, we're going to be talking about being a self-starter. We're going to talk about some hindrances to that and what keeps men in a role of complacency, but ultimately try to encourage them to be a self-starter. And before we get into that, we want to talk about something that you have just accomplished that definitely took effort to be a self-starter in accomplishing it. And that is a brand new book that you have just released through ReUp. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've said for the last 5 years that for a guy that absolutely hates to read, the fact that the Lord would spur me to write books is just kind of crazy. But was he kind of gave me an assignment, a few years ago and wrote the first book, The God and the Man book, which we just had a great reaction to. And I'm so thankful for all the folks that bought a book or bought multiple books and gave them away. And the Lord has used that message there. That's all I was trying to do, was be a conduit and be a messenger of what he wanted to communicate. So very thankful for that. As we were developing the Man Journey curriculum and the Man Journey structure for churches to use, it became very evident that something else we could bring about for men to utilize would be a book. The God and a Man book really wound up serving as an on-ramp to a lot of men to the identity study. So we kind of felt like this Man Journey book might be an on-ramp for a lot of guys to actually go on the Man Journey structure and use it and utilize all the curriculum and the resources. And plus you got guys that, aren't necessarily connected to a local church or whatever that, might take the book and the Lord use it in their life to teach some things to them and reveal it. So, yeah, so the book is called The Man Journey, Moving Towards Greatness. Obviously, we really feel like when men learn the three truths of a biblical man, it moves them towards greatness. It moves them towards being the men that God really created them to be. And as well as I do, we need a lot of great men right now. So excited about it. It just today hit Amazon, which, Amazon rules the world now. So it's there available in a paperback form. And then we're excited to have it in an ebook form as well to download on to a Kindle. Hoping sometime in the next 90 days, there'll be a release of an audio version of it as well. But then we'll be doing an official launch of the book later in the month of August. They wanted to go ahead and get it out on Amazon as quick as possible. So excited about that. And I had a buddy of mine, dear friend, sent me a screenshot a while ago of his shopping cart where he had bought a paperback copy of it. So grateful for guys that do that and support what the Lord's called us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk more about that resource in a coming podcast, as Tim said, over the next little bit here. If you're listening with us in real time, you'll be hearing more as there's a launch and a kind of an unfolding of this new information. So hang on, and we'll have more on this brand new Man Journey book coming up very soon. Today, though, like we talked about at the top, we wanted to talk about the value of being a self-starter and maybe some of the stumbling blocks that stand in between us in being a self-starter. And so, first of all, I don't know that it necessarily needs a definition. It kind of defines itself, being a self-starter. But let's talk about the value, Tim, of being a self-starter.
Well, a term that I would use as well is an initiator, self-starter. As you said, when you use the term self-starter, it really doesn't need to be much of a definition. But I think if guys really just kind of analyze their life and they say uh, the road is paved with good intentions. We all have great intentions, when it comes to our health, working out, maybe some habits that we're trying to break and get away from. We're talking about a book here. Maybe you're a guy that says, "Man, I need to start reading more." It says that leaders are readers, and so I need to read more. So again, good intentions. We're full of those. Most of the time, the enemy doesn't want us to actually take action on those good intentions.
Mhm.
So I think the enemy's just done a great job of getting a lot of us to say that we want to be a certain kind of man. We want to do certain things. We want to change certain things in our lives. But he does a great job of getting us to not really follow through. And another thing that kind of breaks my heart is a number of men that have young men, older men that are just missing out on so much of life and so much of what God has for them because they've bought into this non-initiating mindset. And if somebody doesn't do it for them, they're just not really going to do it. And,
Yeah.
we hear guys talk about, well, us older guys, well, I don't really know how to relate to the younger guys. So yeah, I'd love to hang out with them and maybe pour into them. I just don't know how to do that or, what I would need to change or do. Well, or then younger guys going, man, I'd love to have an older guy in my life, but I just, I hadn't had an older guy reach out to me. Well, he's probably not going to. You've got to initiate that. I use this term all the time. No matter what it is, it's not going to fall out of the sky most of the time. You have to be the initiator. You have to be the self starter. I think it's John Maxwell that says nobody ever got. Oh, I'm gonna misquote it, but nobody ever got started by basically doing nothing. I
Mhm.
mean, you you never get started unless you do something.
Right.
And so again, I think that we all have good intentions, but the enemy's done a great job of us not being initiators or self-starters.
Mhm.
Just
Okay.
think about in the business world, people that have had an idea and did something about it. I mean, Apple started in the garage, all these success stories that started in crazy ways, but it was just somebody that finally said, "Okay, I'm gonna initiate something. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna start and see what happens." And
Mhm.
boy, the number of ideas that have died because it was a great idea, but they never took action.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. Speaking of ideas, let's talk about some parameters for being a self-starter. We've probably all known people who have started dozens of businesses or, had lots of ideas and they'll dabble in it for a little bit and then it's gone. Maybe you know somebody close to you and they've got lots of projects in their shop or in their yard or in their garage, and they've started on this and then they decided it wasn't for them. That doesn't seem very useful to me. It doesn't seem like the kind of self-starter that you're talking about. What are some of the parameters? I mean, it seems like there needs to be some guardrails when it comes to sustainability and perseverance when it comes to being a self-starter. What are those guardrails?
As I was listening to you, I thought of some some men in my life I know that are really handy. I mean, they can do all kinds of things. I'm thinking of one particular person. He can do anything. I mean, he is one of the most handy guys. I mean, I don't care what it is. He can figure it out. He can do it. But you go to his home or you are around him some and he talks about all these things he has started, but he's never finished them. You can go to his home right now and walk in and see evidence of, oh boy, he started that, but he never finished it, and his wife said, "Oh yeah, that floor's been like that for 2 years,"
Mm, mm,
or whatever. So I think again, talk about good intentions, but parameters maybe would be, if you start something, make sure it's something that you number 1, don't start something that you're not able or qualified or gifted or whatever to finish.
mhm,
That would be one thing. Recognize your capabilities. And because, I mean, there's some things, yeah, you got a great idea, but when you really look at it to finish it,
mhm.
you really have the giftedness or the ability to see it through.
Yeah,
So don't start something unless you feel confident. I've got the ability to see it through.
yeah,
And then I think another would be some accountability.
mhm,
I think you gotta have some accountability too, that if you're gonna start something, you need to have somebody go, "Hey, man, where you at on that? Are you moving forward? Are you following through? Are you doing the things it's going to take to accomplish it or finish it. So I think, I think those would be two things right off the top of my head I would think of. Make sure you've got the ability, the tools, the resources to do it. I mean, you're not going to tile a floor if you don't have the tools to do it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you're not going to be able to mentor another young man unless you have some tools to help you so you can follow through on it and keep moving forward. So, and then the accountability piece, I think there's got to be some kind of accountability built in there somewhere. If you're going to be an initiator and a self starter, we got great starters, but we have very few finishers.
Uh-huh.
So do you have the talent, the giftedness, the tools, the resources, and then do you have the accountability to see it through as well?
Yeah. I think about commitment as well. With that, I think about a guy who is going to, go ask a girl out. If you don't intend on being faithful to one person for not that your first date, you necessarily are going to always have love at first sight. But if you have no intentions of getting married and going the distance with, a wife, then should you really be asking any girl out on a date if you already know that? I thought when you said that, the Bible says that God knows the end from the beginning. And I don't know how my life is going to end. And so there are definitely aspects of that I'm not like God. I don't know how this world is going to end. I don't know when Jesus is going to come back. There are a lot of end things that I don't know. But there are some things that I'm at least willing to think about how it could carry out to completion, and I need to make a decision if I'm willing to go that far with it before I begin it. And then I think the things that you say also are very helpful. Do I have the ability to carry that task out? And then am I willing to have some others come alongside and take a look at it and kick the tires on it, and help me to build it out and to improve it along the way?
Yeah, I just again back to using the term, it breaks my heart the number of people that I know that God has placed an ideal in their heart or mind to advance the kingdom in some form or fashion, and they talked about it and they talked about it and they talked about it, but they never followed through. They never did anything about it. And I just picture God at times. He always loves us. He's never ashamed of us or whatever. But I just got to believe at times he shakes his head and go, "Gosh, man, all I needed you to do was just take some steps. And then if you'll initiate it, then what I think about in the Bible where they were carrying the Ark of the Covenant and so forth across the Jordan River and they walked from side to side to side to side, parallel instead of stepping their foot in. They were afraid, because if they touched it with their hands or dropped whatever, God would strike them dead or whatever. But when they finally stepped in, he did what he did when he parted the waters of the Red Sea. He parted the Jordan River where they could go across. But there had to be an initiator, there had to be a step, there had to be a start. And so I think about, and I never want to talk about myself, but just all I can talk about is from experience. But I just remember when the Lord gave me the idea, really for the foundation of ReUp. I was mowing my yard one day on my riding lawnmower in the backyard, and I mean he'd had it in my mind for a while, but he just really started to make things clearer to me. And I stopped the mower and I went into our detached garage that we had. I found a piece of cardboard and a Sharpie marker that was out there, and what I had on my mind that I just drew it out of what it would look like, and that was great. But at some point in time, I had to pray about it. So that's another thing I would throw in here too is prayer. Okay, Lord, you've placed this in my mind and my heart. Now, I mean, I need to start. I need to initiate. I need to turn on the ignition and move forward. Well, you're going to have to help me do that. I mean, you on my own. Yeah, I can initiate some things, but it's going to have to be you to really take it forward. And I'm reminded of when they put their foot in that water, then he did what needed to be done. And so as I drew that out, I'm like, okay, I got to take some first steps. And I did. Otherwise I could have just left it on the cardboard paper and left it laying in the garage and never did anything about it. But I took some first steps, and then he started moving. And then I felt there was another step I needed to take. So I did. I felt I was gifted to do it. I felt I had the ability to do it up to a point, and then he would have to take over from there. So again, it's just that taking those steps forward, initiating. I could have been indifferent about it and just gone, yeah, it's a great idea, but I'm pretty good right now. I've got men in my life. I've got a couple good boys I'm raising. They're going to be good men, and it's all going to work out. It's a great idea. Maybe somebody else will do it. Well, no, it's what he had put that on my heart. And there's a lot of you guys listening out there that God's put something on your heart. I mean, the number of men I've had tell me over the years, man, I just really feel like the Lord's called me to do this and years ago, but I don't know when the time's right. I've been waiting and this and that. Well, the time's right when you do something. That's that that's when the time's right, is when
Uh-huh.
you do something. And if it's not the right time, he'll make it pretty clear. I mean, he'll put up some obstacles and he'll stop it. But so many of us are so indifferent. We just kind of push it to the side. As long as my world's still pretty good, then it's like the mentoring thing. That's the thing that I have such a heart for right now. The number of men that need to be investing in young men. And they're like, yeah, man, man, I had this idea to do this and this. But they've let the enemy convince them, no, well, you're too busy. You don't have what it takes or whatever. Well, the Lord wouldn't have put that in your heart if you didn't have what it takes. And just take a step. And then, I tell guys, if you can read, you can lead, you can do this. So here's how to do it. I mean, that's what ReUp does. We create structures so you can go do things to build other men and advance the kingdom. And so just as long as your heart feels like it, that the Lord's calling you to do it, then just take the step and trust him, and then seek out what you need to do that. So send us an email and we'll send you everything we can send you to help you. But you got to initiate. You can't be indifferent. You can't wait. You can't get complacent. You can't let the enemy convince you that now's not the right time. No, he's always going to put that in your mind, whether it's today or 10 years from now. I hear guys all the time, I need to wait for my life to slow down. No, it's not going to slow down. It's going to be that way 10 years from now. There's never a good time, if you want to say it that way. But if you'll take the step, if you'll be an initiator, if you'll turn the ignition key and just watch the Lord take the rest of it. But I think he's up there waiting for us with his arms kind of out going, okay, Brandon, man, come on, just take those steps. I'm ready. I'm waiting for you. I'm not going to do it for you. I didn't program you to do it. I'm not going to do it for you. Take those steps, and I'm right here with you, and we can go. But boy, the enemy's done such a great job of convincing us not to take those first steps.
Yeah, and I think there's also the natural component. You've said many times that men are quitters, sitters, and forgetters. And those are things that work against being a self-starter. So,
Absolutely.
so talk about that for a minute. I guess, my question then, I mean, I think those things are true, that men are quitters, men are sitters, and they're forgetters. I guess my question is why? Why is it that men are like that?
I really think that, well, there's a couple things. First off, with the man journey week, I use this a lot when I talk about the second truth, which is learning to live by his life. The way we've been answering the question, what is a biblical man? We're telling guys they got to do stuff to be a biblical man, which is, I believe, has become our problem. The answer has actually become part of our problem with men because, number one, men in our world today are tired. I mean, I was with my fire team this morning, and one of the guys he made the comment. He said, "Man," he said, I'm tired all the time.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
That's all I am anymore is just tired." And so I think that's one of the things that has really caused men to be complacent, not for them to become indifferent, for us to where we're not taking action is we're tired
Uh-huh.
physically, mentally, spiritually. And so then let's connect that then. The average Christian man spends less than 10 minutes a day in the word and in prayer. Well, we're tired.
Huh.
And so if you're not so what renews you? What transforms your mind? What renews you? What gives you what I call energy and fuel? Well, it's him. It's his truth. It's his word that's living and breathing. It's what empowers you. It's what moves us forward. But we're not spending any time with him. And then we're tired. So it goes back to the saying we've always used at ReUp is that men are not giving God time enough so he can teach them enough, so they'll learn enough. And then here's the key part, to trust him enough to, now from there we could say, trust him enough to start something,
Uh-huh.
to initiate something, to take a step forward, to speak to a young guy about maybe hanging out with him and mentoring him. So again, where's all that lead to? Where's all that start? We're not spending enough time with him so we can learn from him, so he can teach us and learn, so we can trust. And then, okay, I'm going to take this step. I'm going to initiate something. I'm not going to be indifferent anymore. I'm, I'm going to take that step. Yeah, my kids are grown. I've done my job. No, I'm going to go find me another young guy. I'm going to take that step. And that comes from spending time with him. I just think it's a ripple effect. And so why are we not self-starters? Why are we not initiators? I think a lot of it goes back to we're not spending time with him who can initiate and start anything, anytime, anywhere with anybody. And so that'd be my 2 cents worth anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one place you can go to take that first step is to our website, where we hope to have some resources that will fit that bill exactly to help you in taking that step of gathering a group of guys around you who will help to fill in that void that's there, that you will be filled up with the word of God and therefore focused and energized and strengthened to have the courage and the faith to step out. And you can find resources at our website, reuppodcast.com. All kinds of things, from books like this one we've talked about in this podcast, to studies, teachings, all kinds of things are there aimed at helping you be the man that God's designed you to be. We'd love for you to share this podcast with others. Maybe you want to have a conversation with somebody about becoming a self-starter. Maybe you want to ask them how to become a self-starter, and you want to sit down with a cup of coffee and talk through that. This listening to this podcast would be a great way to get that conversation started.
I think it's really important too, Brandon, as I was listening to you drop in here at the end, is, man, if you don't have a group of guys around you that when the Lord lays something on your heart and you feel like it's time to initiate or start, for you to run that by them and for them to encourage you, hold you accountable, cheer you on. I think so many men have not done that because they don't have those guys. So you hit a key point there.
Yeah, self-starting does not mean alone.
Exactly right.
And so that's right. And so we want to be a help. We're just regular people, just like you are, who are trying to do the best we can. We don't have it all figured out, and have started things that probably we've quit or even failed at, and had to back up and start over. And we want you to learn from those things. And you can do that at our website, reuppodcast.com. Let us know how we can help you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us at reuppodcast.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of the ReUp Men's Podcast with Tim Brown. I'm Brandon Porter.